400 passengers, but only 200 meals were loaded onto a flight from Delhi to New York City. It was only discovered after takeoff when the flight attendants started going through their preparations for the meals. So the airline had bungled, and the crew was in a fix. However, one smart flight attendant had an idea. A couple of hours into the flight, she nervously announced, "Ladies and gentlemen, we don't know how this happened, but we have over 400 people on board, but only 200 dinners. Anyone who is kind enough to give up their meal to someone else will receive unlimited free liquor for the duration of the flight." Her next announcement came 6 hours later. "Ladies and gentlemen, if anyone wants to change their mind, we still have 180 dinners available."
A food critic visits a local restaurant to review its food for the town magazine. The owner welcomes him and shows him to the table. The food is presented to him, and after a while, the critic calls the owner to say that there is something missing in his bowl of soup. The owner asks whether it is too spicy or sweet or salty. When the food critic says no, the owner decides to taste the soup himself, but he can't find the spoon. "Yeah," says the critic, "that's what is missing." A fellow walked into a bank in New York City asking for a loan for $4,000. "Well, before we lend you the money, we are going to need some kind of security," the bank teller said. "No problem," the man responded. "Here are the keys to my car. You'll see it. It's a black Porsche parked in the back of the parking lot." A few weeks later, the man returned to pay off his loan. While he was paying it up, along with the interest of $11, the manager came over. "Sir, we are very happy to have your business, but if you don't mind me asking, after you left, we looked into you and found out that you were a millionaire. Why would you need to borrow $4,000? "Well," the fellow responded, "it's quite simple. Where else can I park my car for 3 weeks in New York for $11? Jim's car is swerving all over the road. So a cop pulls him over. "Step out of the car," says the cop. "I'm going to need you to take a breathalyzer test." "I can't," Jim responds. "You see, I have very bad asthma. That can set off an attack." "All right," says the cop. "Then you're going to have to take a blood test." "Can't do that either," Jim responds. "I am a hemophiliac. If a wound is opened, I won't stop bleeding, and I could bleed to death." "Okay," the cop answers. "Then I will need a urine sample." "Sorry," says Jim. "I also have diabetes. That could push my sugar count really low." "Fine. So just come on out and walk a straight line for me." "Can't do that either," responds Jim. "Why not?" demanded the exasperated cop. "Well, because I'm drunk." A businessman went into the office and found an inexperienced handyman painting the walls. The handyman was wearing 2 heavy parkas on a hot summer day. Thinking this was a little strange, the businessman asked the handyman why he was wearing the parkas on such a hot day. The handyman showed him the instructions on the can of paint. They read, "For best results, put on 2 coats." 2 men, Jim and John, were walking their dogs when they passed by a restaurant. "Let's go in and get something to eat," Jim suggested. "We can't," responded John. "Don't you see the sign says, 'No pets allowed'?" "Ah, that sign," said Jim. "Don't worry about it." And taking out a pair of sunglasses, he walked up to the door. As he tried walking into the restaurant, he got stopped at the door. "Sorry, no pets allowed. Can't you see?" said Jim. "I am blind. This is my seeing eye dog." "But it's a Doberman Pinscher." "Who uses a Doberman Pinscher as a seeing eye dog?" the man asked. "Oh," Jim responded, "you must have not heard. This is the latest type of seeing eye dog. They do a very good job." Seeing that it worked, John tried walking in with his Chihuahua. Even before he could open his mouth, the doorman said, "Don't tell me that a Chihuahua is the latest type of seeing eye dog." Thinking quickly, John responded in an angry voice, "You mean they gave me a Chihuahua?" My brother came back from school all motivated because he said he would be following a new diet from that day. We didn't really give it much thought until my brother really started eating his homework for dinner. When we stopped him and asked why he was doing that, he replied, "I was just trying to see how it tasted because my teacher said that the homework would be a piece of cake for me." Jack strode into John's stable looking to buy a horse. "Listen here," said John. "I've got just the horse you're looking for. The only thing is, he was trained by an interesting fellow. He doesn't go and stop the usual way. The way to get him to stop is to scream, 'Hey, hey.' The way to get him to go is to scream, 'Thank God.'" Jim nodded his head. "Fine with me. Can I take him for a test run?" Jim was having the time of his life. This horse sure could run, he thought to himself. Jim was speeding down the dirt road when he suddenly saw a cliff up ahead. "Stop!" screamed Jim, but the horse kept on going. No matter how much he tried, he could not remember the words to get it to stop. "Yo-yo," screamed Jim, but the horse just kept on speeding ahead. It was 5 feet from the cliff when Jim suddenly remembered. "Hey, hey!" Jim screamed. The horse skidded to a halt just 1 inch from the cliff. Jim could not believe his good fortune. He looked up to the sky, raised his hands in the air, breathed a deep sigh of relief, and said with conviction, "Thank God." John was starving. He was stuck in a small hick town, lost and hungry. He was happy when he saw a small restaurant coming up on his right. John quickly pulled over, parked his car, and walked inside. John noticed a blackboard with a sign written in yellow chalk, "Today's special, vegetable soup with fried chicken and grilled vegetables." "I'll take the special," said John to the waiter when he came to take his order. A few minutes after receiving his order, John called over the waiter. He was fuming mad. "Is this the special? It says vegetable soup, but there are no vegetables. It says grilled vegetables, but they aren't grilled, they are baked. And it says fried chicken, and the chicken isn't fried." The waiter was not used to city folks and their attitudes, and frankly, he was not going to put up with this behavior. "My dear man," said the waiter, looking down at John over his glasses, "that is what makes it so special." A man entered the emergency room with his 2 ears burned. "What happened?" asked the doctor. "Well," the man explained, "my wife was ironing clothing behind my chair while I was watching TV. She put down the iron next to the phone, and when the phone rang, I answered the iron." "Wow, that is terrible," responded the doctor. "And what happened to your other ear?" "Well," the guy responded, "right afterwards, the phone rang again.